Would you say you're now an environmentalist, Mr. Johnson?
I've always been a passionate lover of the natural world. Was always very, very conscious of the loss of habitats and nature, and appalled by the destruction of forests. But it was only really on becoming Prime Minister, seeing the upward spike in temperature change. There's absolutely no doubt about it. We have to fix this thing.
To what extent does your wife Carrie, has she influenced your views? Because of course she brings a lot of passion to these issues, doesn't she?
Well, I've always been very passionate about the issue. I discuss it with lots
with your
of
father,
with
your friend
with
Zach,
with
your brother
all
Leo.
my friends and family. Yes, of course. And you look. I'm not going to hide it from you. There are some very committed environmentalists in my family. That's absolutely true. But I don't want you to think that I'm the black sheep of that family. Okay, I'm also I also have been for a long time very, very determined to fix some of these issues. I suppose one of the things that really attracts me about it is the possibility of technological change and progress to drive the economy. And
so a kind of new industrial revolution.
Yeah, that's so. I think there's a huge opportunity to do things better in our country and to be at the cutting edge of new technology. That's the way I think the country should go. I also think it's the way people want to go. The big change in all this is it's not what governments think anymore. It's not what the corporations think. It's what their punters think, and the people watching, they want change, and they want us to grip this thing.
And on that subject of change, we're all thinking about our own carbon footprints. What is the Johnson household doing to cut its emissions? Come on.
Well, I've totally abolished commuting since I live above my place of work. But what I used to do is I used to cycle absolutely everywhere.
What about beef, for example?
Look, I think that I've got probably to stop eating a lot less. I've got to start eating a lot less of all kinds of things.
On the big issue, the COP26 summit, it isn't Brexit that in the long term you're going to be remembered for. You're going to be remembered for the deal that you bring back from Glasgow, because that is the one that's going to affect the climate that we all endure or live in for decades, centuries, thousands of years, possibly.
And and at this stage, we've had a decent G20, but it's nothing like enough.
We're headed for 2.7.
I can't exactly. So and that's you're quite right, Justin. That is the tragedy of it. I don't think people realise that the difference between 1.5, restraining it to 1.5 degrees, increasing 1.5 degrees, and 2 degrees, is the difference between losing 70% of the world's coral reefs at 1.5 degrees and losing all of them at 2 degrees. That is an appalling prospect.
Yeah, not to mention desertification, storms, heat waves.
All that, and the consequences to say nothing of the natural disaster, the consequences for humanity are enormous. And they will manifest themselves in movements of people, in conflicts over resources, and huge instability and uncertainty.
But a couple of weeks before the conference starts, you go on holiday to Marbella. Is that world leadership?
Well, I think that on the issue of short-haul flights, we've got to do things and I know that people object to what we did with the budget, but actually we are increasing the taxation on long-haul flights, which account for 96% of the emissions.
You reduced it on domestic short-haul flights, ones that there are alternatives for, and increased it on long-haul flights. So you did nothing. That's what you're saying. You did nothing.
It's very difficult. I mean, I hear you, but it's very difficult. And even the distinguished Scottish politicians who are beating me up about this don't actually themselves come to London by any other means but plane.
But the point is, you are asking developing nations to make really tough decisions about their future.
Yes.
And at the same time, and you're saying you want to turn aspiration into action. You're not delivering action on short-haul flights in Britain, are you?
So, with great respect, everybody knows that it's the UK that's out in front. When I was a kid, 80% of our power came from coal. When I was Mayor of London, it was 40%. It's now 1%.
Well, let's talk about coal.
That's an amazing.
Let's talk about coal. And I know everybody asks you this question, but you're going to China, you're going to India, you're going to the developing world saying phase out coal at the same time as not ruling out a new coal mine in Britain. We started the Industrial Revolution. We should have closed
I've just
the mine.
given you the statistics before you have.
But why don't you just say we're not going to open them?
I've just given you statistics.
Why don't we be clear on the coal mine?
The
Chinese will say we can't take this guy seriously.
Sorry. What absolutely everybody finds incontrovertible is the progress the UK has already made.
No, I'm sorry to bang on about the coal, but the point is, you kind of, it makes you look. No, makes you look a little bit weaselly, not answering the coal question, because they're going to go and you're talking about coal.
Sorry, I've answered the coal question, and
directly,
they understand that.
Directly.
And let me tell you directly,
okay.
we are...
Yes or no on the coal mine? You personally, what do you reckon?
I'm not in favour of more coal, let's be absolutely clear, but it's not a decision for me, it's a decision for local planning authorities, right?
One last thought. You're about to go to Glasgow. How confident are you about the outcome?
I've told you, I think it's in the balance. I think that we've had a decent outcome at the G20 so far, but everybody's got a lot more to do.